Why have you been so successful in reaching some of your goals, but not others? Now, if you aren't sure, you're far from alone in your confusion. It turns out that even brilliant, highly accomplished people are pretty lousy when it comes to understanding why they succeed or fail. And it's not as simple as the fact that you're predisposed to success because you were born with certain talents or you were lacking in others. That's really only just one piece of the puzzle. So today we're going to discuss 9 surprising things that successful people do differently to the average person in this month's Build a Business Not a Job podcast with Mark Creedon. But my chat with Mark isn't just for business owners or professionals. It's going to be relevant for you about success in all areas of your life, whether it's investing, wealth creation or whatever. So welcome to today's show, and I hope at the end you're going to have multiplied your odds of being more successful.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's authority in wealth creation through property, who has been voted one of Australia's top 50 most influential thought leaders.
Today we're going to discuss the question that we actually talked about in a private Facebook group for Business Accelerator Mastermind. And that question is, what is it that the wealthy and successful people think about? What do they think about differently from the rest of us, and what do they do differently? Now, this opened up some great discussions amongst our tribe, and today I want to share this with you in my monthly Build a Business Not a Job podcast with Mark Creedon. Mark, welcome.
Hello, Michael. Always good to have a chat with you.
Now, Mark, the question that was asked in our Facebook community, which is a private group for clients of Business Accelerator Mastermind, was, I know the wealthy people and many successful people that you coach do things differently to what the average person does, but what is it that they do differently? So the person asked, I'd love to understand how they think. So what was your answer to that, Mark? I know it's a great question because there's, I guess, lots of people wanting to accomplish more today, and there are so many challenges out there. So what is it that they should be doing?
Well, I think, Michael, there's a bit of a common theme between those who've excelled in their life, who've achieved success in business, have achieved success in investments, and really just imitating the actions of someone who's already been there and been successful of itself isn't enough. There's actually more thinking. And I think when we went through it, we narrowed it down to 9 things that fell into 3 categories, really.
Yeah, what were those categories?
So the 3 things are, Michael, that they need to look at what is their internal process. In other words, how are they thinking? Number 2 is what are they focusing on? Where does their focus lie? And then number 3, what actions are they taking? So what are they actually doing? So they're the 3 areas. And then there's 3 parts to each of those areas as well, Michael.
Well, as we unpack those, I think it's useful just to understand the power of having a group of people around you that you can discuss this with. And I know that as the conversation evolved, more and more people got involved. And it's interesting because we all think our own particular way, and to hear it from other successful people who are actually very willing to share. I think that's one of the great things about having a mastermind process behind it. Isn't that what Napoleon Hill said, that, 1 and 1 equals more than 2? The benefit of a mastermind team is you come up with a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. That collective momentum that comes from a group of like-minded individuals, and that shared wisdom, Michael, is just so powerful in mastermind groups, isn't it?
Sure. So just imitating other people, seeing that somebody runs fast, so you practice running every day, or you go to the gym every day, or you eat differently to other people, or in business, you do the same marketing as them, or investing, you buy in the same areas as them. That's not enough. So let's dig into those 3 different groups. There's the first one, Mark, is how do successful people think? Now, again, wealthy people aren't always successful and successful people aren't always wealthy, but let's use those terms interchangeably in our chat today. So let's start with, what are the internal processes?
Yeah, it's a really important point. It is about how people think. And I think the big thing that I see is that people who are successful, who are wealthy, they see themselves as their own creator, the creator of their wealth and success, Michael. So they create the circumstances as opposed to seeing themselves as victims. So, I've often said that you've got to be the pilot of your life, not the passenger being dragged along for the ride. So successful people look at things differently to the average person. They see the good, the bad, the ugly, and then they work out what have they brought into their life, and therefore what do they need to change to empower themselves to bring about the changes they need to create that success and that wealth.
In other words, they take responsibility. And psychologists have shown the more you feel in control of your life, the better you are. Now, this is a really good time to make that comment because there are so many bits of what's happening in the world at the moment that we're not in control of. The lockdowns, the pandemics, what it's doing to our businesses, what it's doing to our jobs, to our health, to our life. So you've got to see what areas you can be in control of and take responsibility for that rather than blame others.
Yeah, and that's what we do see, Michael. We see people, if they actually look at being in charge of what's going on for them, being in control of it, and taking responsibility, then they're going to bring about the change they need to effect.
Okay, so one thing is they believe they're the pilot of their life, they're responsible. What other ways do they think differently?
Yeah, look, what they do is they're committed to the process. So of creating wealth, being successful, they continuously think about what are the actions I'm going to take. If I'm going to be in charge of this, if I'm responsible for it, it's more than just putting your hand up and taking responsibility. It's what is going to produce my wealth or success or what's going to erode it. I think, Michael, the problem is that almost everyone's interested. It's a question. It's the difference between sort of being interested, being committed. And with apologies to any of our vegan friends, I always like to think it's a bit like the chicken and the egg at breakfast time. I mean,
Yes.
The chicken's involved, but, the pig's committed. Michael, you and I know people who they've read all the books, they've been to all the seminars, but they've never actually taken the next step. So it's great in learning things. You've got to be committed. It's not just wanting to pick up the book. It's not just wanting to look at, what I might be able to do. It's actually taking that action. A good example, and I know you and I have spoken about, learning foreign languages. I'd love to learn a foreign language. In fact, I downloaded a program to learn Italian. I've not done anything with it, Michael. I'm not really committed to it because I haven't done it. So therefore, I'm not committed to that process.
So the things you've committed to, you've done. And I think this is something that people don't understand. They want to be rich. They want to be good property investors. They want to be successful in their professional life or their investments or their business. But the answer is they're not really committed. So if you're wondering, are you committed to success or not? Just go back, look at your actions. What you're committed to will rise to the top when you look at those actions. And what you're just interested in, maybe you're not going to have achieved.
Yeah, most definitely.
Now, I also liked one of the other comments that came up, which was they have big thinking. They think about possibilities. Interestingly, now, love him or hate him, Donald Trump had some successes in his life, and boy, did he have some failures. And everyone remembers him for his words, "You're fired." But his first book was actually called Think Big. And so what he said is you've got to think big. I think Richard Branson has said the same sort of things. All the big successful business people that one wants to follow or investors, they similarly have high aspirations.
Yeah. Michael, this became a situation actually within the office yesterday. We had one of the team that just felt completely overwhelmed. And I sat down and I said to her, whatever is going on, there is a solution. We just have to find it, but we will find it. So you're right. Successful people, they do think big. If we look around at everything we see, Michael, the self-driving cars and, your smartphone in your pocket, they've all come from somebody saying, what if it were possible? How would we do it? I mean, it's like, John F. Kennedy saying, well, we're going to put a man on the moon. And they did.
So you set these audacious goals, and then you do what you have to do to get there. And along the way, you have to know that there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges.
And this is a perfect time. The reality is, Michael, is we work with our clients as a part of Business Accelerator Mastermind. And we've got clients who are facing all types of challenges over the last year or two because of the global pandemic. And so they have to actually ask themselves the question, what can I do differently today? I mean, lots of business people, and you and I had this conversation only yesterday, in fact. Lots of people last year, they battened down the hatches. They kept doing things. Either they did things vastly differently by battening down the hatches, or they kept doing what they've always done because they've always done it. The successful people have actually looked at this pandemic as being a challenge, but one that they can move beyond. So they need to think big about what's it going to look like on the other side, and what do I need to do today in order to get me there in due course, Michael?
Sure. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a coach, a business coach, a mentor, whether it's in your investments or whatever, because they see your blind spots and they help you to look at things differently. See, people just think I'm going to keep doing it the same way. I know the beautiful example often used is Blockbuster. They're no longer around. They got complacent. They kept doing things the same way. So we watch a show, a movie, a series every night on Netflix. I remember Netflix asked Blockbuster to buy them out. It's the other way around now. So wealthy entrepreneurs, they see opportunities, they see possibilities. So in summary, the first section, if we talk about the three sections that you mentioned, the wealthy and successful business people, entrepreneurs, investors, they see themselves as responsible to create their own wealth and to create their own success. They're committed to achieving the success. And they see opportunities and possibilities. They see the glass half full rather than the glass half empty. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean they don't have obstacles and challenges. Boy, they have had over the last while. But that's nothing new, Mark. This time it's COVID. Other times there have been other causes of challenges.
Absolutely. I mean, there's COVID, there's the GFC, there's some other economic downturn, there's supply issues, there's whatever, there's natural disasters. There's always something, Michael. But that is the difference, I think, between the successful and those who aren't successful is the fact that the focus on the fact that you look for the solution and you find the way out.
Well, as we said, as we went through this discussion in our private mastermind group, one section was how people think internally, and the next one is what they focus on. Now, that's actually slightly different to how they think. It's where they pay their attention.
Yeah, it is. It's similar, I guess, in terms of that it's mindset, but it's mindset and behaviors, it's attitude, it's the actual actions they take. So it's about managing yourself first. Michael, not so much these days, but you and I used to fly quite a lot. And I used to be able to quote in the unlikely event of an emergency, an oxygen mask will drop from the ceiling panel above. But they say fit your own oxygen mask first, and that's what successful people do. Before they lead others, they look after themselves first. It doesn't mean that they are selfish and put themselves in front, but they actually lead from the front. They look after themselves, and I think that's about looking at, if you've got bad habits or say bad money management habits, if you're not doing the things that are congruent with growing your income or being successful, then you're just not going to have the things come at the other end that you're looking for.
So they do what they need to do to ensure that their wealth keeps growing, their business keeps growing, their success does, or if it's in their health area, the exercise, they spend time, energy, effort growing and improving. So I guess the question I'd be asking somebody listening to this is, what are you doing to get to the next level? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? I'm glad you're listening to this one. What courses are you doing? Are you really committed? Are you just interested? Do you pay for a business coach? I know I have you as a coach, and it's sometimes a bit difficult because we're also good friends and partners, but it started as a business coach to me and then to our clients, so the directors of Metropole, then I started referring clients to you, and then we became business partners. But separately, we also have coaches. I know you have a coach in Tucky Moore, and I do in Simon Bowen. So we're prepared to pay and invest in our futures, Mark.
Interestingly, Michael, I had that conversation with my nephew this morning as I was driving him to the train. He's 16, and he said, Uncle Mark, can I spend some time with you on the weekend talking about success and how you can help me to set myself up for success? And my answer was, sure, mate, no problems. I won't charge you my normal rate. I'll give you a family discount. And he turned around and said, well, of course, I'm happy to pay you. Now, that was a test. I'm not going to charge him anything. But it was a test to see. He understood that in order to be successful, you actually have to sometimes pay for that advice and be committed to getting that successful advice.
But I know that when you speak to prospects for Business Accelerator Mastermind, they say to you, yeah, but I'm actually not ready yet. When my business is successful, then I'm prepared to pay you. I actually don't have enough at the moment, so I can't pay you now. I'll do it when I'm successful. That never happens. That never comes.
No, it doesn't. And the interesting thing, I speak to people like that, and then you talk to them in 12 months' time, and they're pretty much in the same position they were in. So those who are prepared to take that leap of faith and commit and invest in themselves find that they achieve those levels of success much faster and probably a little bit more fluidly as well.
Well, investing in themselves. Okay, so we're talking about the things that successful people, business people, entrepreneurs, investors focus on. What's the next thing?
Yeah, it's all about value. So successful people are value-driven. They know dollars follow value. The wealthy understand they're living in a value exchange economy. They don't focus on the price or the cost, but they focus on adding value to others. See, the thing is, Michael, price on its own has no context. If I tell you something, costs $1 million, that sounds like a lot. But if that $1 million is going to save your child's life, then it doesn't sound like a lot. So the question is around value exchange, and successful people and entrepreneurs, they focus on giving value to others, and they're very value driven.
I guess that comes back to what we said a moment ago. Do you see the value in educating yourself, getting coaches, getting mentors? Successful business and people, entrepreneurs, give value to others. They know it's going to get repaid. They're not as cost-focused or price-focused. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And I think that was Warren Buffett who said that. Again, there were three areas I think that we broke down that people who are already successful focused on. And the reason we're discussing this is if we understand what they are thinking, how they're thinking, not just what they're doing, and we emulate these traits, we're more likely to become successful ourselves too, of course.
Yeah, 100%.
So what was the last one in that group?
Michael, they are net worth focused.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it means that they're focused on building a portfolio of assets. So whether it's real estate, shares, or their business, but the whole idea is to get them to deliver multiple income streams. It's kind of like a money machine. They're focused on the net outcome or the net money that's produced from each of those individual pieces of effort.
Sure. So they're really building an asset base to give them choices in life. So they're looking for choices, but I think some of the people who unfortunately had all their eggs in one basket recently have learned in business that black swan events can come and affect you. Look, it's much the same with real estate. While we talk about diversification, it's not as easy in property, which is very expensive, but diversifying in different states by owning different sorts of properties, by owning them in different ownership structures, all that helps as well. Now, there were three groups we broke down to: things people were thinking, things they focused their attention on, and then the last group is what their actions were, what they're doing, what their activities were doing. But before we do that, a few times I've actually brought up that this all started from a private tribe, a Facebook group that you and I and our clients belong to. So some people are wondering, well, what's all this about? What are they talking about? Now, regular listeners would know what you do and what we do together, but I know that there's thousands of new subscribers to this podcast all the time. So, hey, by the way, welcome and thank you. And I hope you're getting some value from this, because it's not always about property. It's about you, which this particular session is. But maybe you could tell people what you do, Mark.
As little as I can get away with. No.
That's what your wife would say. That's what Caroline would say.
Exactly. Michael, together we run Business Accelerator Mastermind, and we've mentioned that a few times. But what is it? Business Accelerator Mastermind is a coaching program. It's a process where we show business owners, service business owners, and professionals in private practice how to build a business and not just a job. We help them maximize their time, build the right team, the very best team around them, and then to achieve the targets that they've set, to keep them on track, to keep them accountable, and keep them focused moving forward on their business.
I like the concept because, as I said, I've got business coaches and I've had coaches. I think that's one of the secrets. If it's not really a secret, I've told everyone about it, of my success over the years of my business and personally as well. But the beauty is the program you've designed is one-on-one time where you spend time with people. Now, not face-to-face, but over Zoom, or that's a great way to do things. It's one-on-many, and that's where people get a lot of benefit from having a tribe around them. And it's not just this private Facebook group where all this particular conversation today started from, but they have sessions where they're all together and help each other. And then there's in the good old days, we used to get together for intensives, but we're still running those intensives online. It's not virtual because it's actually real. It's live. It's happening. You talk, but it's online. So it's a mixture of things. Now, if you're interested in getting Mark, same business coach I've got and the directors of Metropole have got on your side, go to metropolemastermind.com.au. There'll be a link in the show notes. And Mark, I'm sure you'd be happy to have a chat with them.
Yeah, I'd be delighted to, Michael. Very happy to have a chat and show people how we can help them to actually build a business, not just a job.
Okay, the last of those three categories that were part of this discussion were, okay, what do successful people, the wealthy people, those who already achieved what others want to achieve, what are they doing? What are their activities, Mark?
I think this is the other two are vitally important, but you can have the right mindset, you can have the right thought process, you can have the right focus, but if you then don't actually take action, then it all becomes a little bit of a waste of time. So this is actually the things that you actually do. And I think the first thing that you see successful people do, Michael, is they play to win, as opposed to, I think the average Australian tends to sort of play not to lose.
They play defensively.
Yeah, they do. They do. When my son Nicholas was playing rugby as a teenager, and I remember at halftime, though, in one particular game, they were substantially ahead, and I was just the water boy. But, one of the coaches said, right, well, we're ahead, guys, so all we've got to do in the second half is defend our lead. And I sort of said to him, do you know, the problem is that the other team will play to win. And so if all we're doing is defending our lead, they'll want it more than we do, and we'll lose. So you can't play defensively. You can't play not to lose. You actually have to play to win. And that's what we see successful, wealthy people doing, Michael.
Well, in the moment, with the challenges of COVID and the uncertainties ahead, I think we are in Business Accelerator Mastermind seeing people do one of three things. And you mentioned it briefly before, but I think it's so important, it's worth mentioning again. One group of people are more than battening down the hatches. They're just sort of losing focus. They're panicking. They're acting out of fear. And that's a spiral downwards. So they're not playing to win. Others are actually just playing defensively, as you said a moment ago, and they keep doing what they were doing, and they're a little bit successful. Then this doesn't work, and they're up and they're down. By the way, this doesn't just happen in business; it happens in many areas of our life, including investing. While some are actually just thinking, "I'll wait to see how things are going," there's that third group of people who are what we say on the green line, where they're actually taking advantage of this uncertainty period to set themselves up for when we get through all this, and we will, this too shall pass. They're getting the right, in business, the right marketing, the right product mix. They're dealing with their customers. They're looking to grow. They're still marketing. In investing, they're getting their finance in place. They're getting their structures in place. They're actually buying property, and they know that they're going to play to win, because when all this is over, and it will be, they're going to be in a much, much different position to those other two groups of people.
Yeah, they are. We talk to our clients all the time, Michael, about if you stay on the green line, you're going to be massive steps ahead of your competition on the other side of this, because you are going to hit the ground running. You're doing all of the hard work now, and now's the time to be doing it. So definitely playing to win is I think one of the biggest action steps that you can take.
Okay, so we're talking about the things that successful people do. One is they play to win. What is another one?
Yeah, always working in a constant state of self-growth. So it's about reading the books. It's about taking action. It's about having a coach, having a mentor. It's about attending the webinars, attending the seminars, but then actually taking action. So always looking to have a bigger impact, always looking to move forward. And the other thing I think that we see that successful people do is not only do they work on themselves, but part of that taking action is also making a contribution back. And I know you do that, and I do that, and in fact, successful, wealthy people are often some of the biggest contributors to society
and to charity, and the others don't see this. So the poor don't see this because they don't. The rich don't show that off. They don't put their checks on Instagram and show how much money they've given to help out. So a lot of people think the rich and successful people are greedy, but in fact, we recognise that there are some people in the community that need help, and it's our responsibility to help them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that also fits in a little bit, this constant state of growth, with what we said a moment ago, the playing to win, because they are playing on that green line, as you said. And I think the third thing that came out of that group discussion that successful people do is that they actually surround themselves with successful people. They run in successful circles.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, you often say, Michael, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Well, I learned that from Warren Buffett or somebody clever like that. It wasn't my idea, but it's true.
It is very true. And so you really should surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable. You and I had a conversation this morning about something that I was seeking advice from you. And you actually said to me, well, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to be brutally blunt with you? And, the answer was, I want you to be blunt. As it turns out, being blunt was what I wanted to hear as well. But you do surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable. This is a great opportunity, I think, Michael, to look at who is in your inner circle. Are there people you need to add to your inner circle to help you to get to the next level? People that are going to hold you to a higher standard. Have you got mentors? I mean, again, I'm sure it probably wasn't your saying, but one of the sayings that you use I love is the concept of being able to stand on the shoulders of giants so you can see further.
It was Tony Robbins who initially taught me that, and I stood on his shoulders and I paid him to go to his events, to be part of his training. I did the fire walk. I wasn't going to do that. I'm not stupid. I let the other people walk on the hot coals. But it taught me that if you can see the green grass ahead rather than focus on the hot coals you're walking through at the moment, you focus on the future, you can achieve anything. And I think that's a great metaphor for what's happening in the world at the moment.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So there is, and it's interesting that you talk about focusing on the green grass, because we talk about focusing on the green line, staying on the green line, focusing on what it is going to be like on the other side. But you had to get across those coals, and that's what the pandemic is. We've got to get across this pandemic. If we do the right things now, we take the right steps in the right order, with all the right tools, the right support, and the right people around us, then we are actually going to get to the other side in a very healthy and successful position.
That's a great way to finish off, considering there are still going to be some challenges. So my suggestion to you, the person who's listening to Mark and me at the moment, is have a look at how many of those 9 things you're currently doing and score yourself. Give yourself, I don't know, get a pen and paper at the scale of 1 to 10 and see how well are you doing in them. So let me quickly go through them again. So the first thing is that what you're thinking about. Are you feeling that you're the pilot of your life, or are you feeling a passenger? Are you in control? Do you have an internal locus of control? It's me that's responsible. Or are you blaming everyone else on the outside? Score yourself. Then how committed are you to the process of whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's your wealth, whether it's your business success, whether it's other personal development success? What you're committed to will come out when you actually look at your actions. What are you actually doing? And then the third area we talked about was, are you thinking big? What sort of possibilities are you looking at? Score yourself there. Then score yourself on the 3 areas of what are you focusing on? Are you really concentrating on yourself first? Are you getting the right mindset, the right behaviors, the right attitudes, the right habits? Are you dealing with the things that are worrying you at the moment? Or are you looking forward? Are you actually taking advantage of these opportunities that the world's giving you? The second area there was, are you value-driven? Are you cost-driven or value-driven? You're just wondering how much things are costing you, or you're actually understanding that you've got to pay to move ahead. So is it good value? And are you focusing on your asset growth, on net worth? Are you building an asset base? Score yourself on that. And the last 3 areas Mark and I talked about were, are you playing to win, or are you playing the game not to lose? In what areas of your life could you actually be playing more positively? The second last question was, are you in a constant state of self-growth? What are you reading? What are you doing? What webinars are you going to? Of course, you've got to be careful who you listen to. And then just have a look at, are you hanging around the right people? That doesn't mean you dump your old friends. It just means that you bring other people in close, including, have you got a coach? Have you got mentors? Have you got people who can see the landmines ahead? Have you got a tribe of successful people around you? And if you haven't, I'm going to suggest you join one of the tribes I belong to. So I've got mentors in different areas of my life, and I've got mastermind groups in different areas. And one of them is that together with Mark. So go to Metropole Mastermind and find out about what Mark could do, and just see if maybe you'd like to be part of the same tribe we're part of that helps us grow. So, Mark, thank you. I think that was a great discussion, and thank you to the members of Business Accelerator Mastermind, because you're the guys who keep giving us inspiration and bringing up these ideas. We learn from them. The teacher learns as well, don't they?
Yeah,
Mark?
absolutely. There's that great value in not only collective momentum, but that shared wisdom that comes from the group, and that's one of the things I love, Michael. We've got some pretty clever cats in the group as well.
Yes, we do. But I think if we say that, some people are going to count themselves out and say, hey, it's not for me. Who's it not for, and who's Business Accelerator Mastermind for?
Michael, who it's not for is somebody who's just thinking at the very infancy of their business. That they just started their business in the last couple of weeks. They don't really, or they're doing it kind of part-time. They're not really committed to a business. Who it is for is anybody who's in a service business or a professional practice who has a business that is already running, is successful, but they just can't get away from it. So it's so reliant on them. You know, they often say, could you take 6 weeks out of your business and find there was more money in the bank when you came back than when you left? And if the answer is no, then that's exactly the sort of people that we can help to improve that.
And it's actually an interesting, very diverse range. And I think that's one of the benefits of it, because people in the engineering business don't think like people in the travel business or in the pool business. But interestingly, there are some great similarities. You can draw inspiration from people in other industries.
Yeah, I think that's one of the negatives of sort of networking events that involve people within your industry, because they don't think outside of the industry. They don't see what innovations are happening elsewhere, and that's one of the advantages we have is we do see that. And there's been plenty of times where I've picked up something out of the travel industry and applied it across to an engineering business, because whilst what they do might be different, the principles aren't vastly different at all.
Sure. So I'll leave a link in the show notes, metropolmastermind.com.au, and have a chat with Mark. Thanks, Mark. Look forward to catching up again. Well, we do this once a month, but we speak a couple of times a day, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Let's not pretend we don't.
No, we do. It's always a pleasure to chat with you anyway.
Thanks, Mark. I hope you learned something from my chat with Mark today. Now, twice a week I conduct the regular Michael Yardney podcast, once a month with my regular chats with Mark. But if you want to catch me in between, just look for me on social media, just look for Michael Yardney, or join our private Facebook group where you're going to get a snippet of information from me every day, whether it's a chart, a commentary, something I don't leave elsewhere. Just go to Facebook and look for the Property Update private Facebook group. I'd love to be part of your ongoing wealth creation journey. I'll be back again real soon. In the meantime, have a great week. Make it a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropol, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney Podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropol to help you?